I call Katrina Shanks.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. It's my pleasure to take a short call on this bill tonight. It's going to be short because I'll be speaking at the other stages of this bill later on in the next couple of days. Disappointing to hear the opposition in this debate. It was hard to tell actually whether they were for or against this bill. Leanne Dazelle in particular, personal attacks on the ministers, Judith Collins, Paula Bennett. Actually, I think this bill is a bit bigger than personal attacks on ministers. Claire Curran talking about her holiday, picking berries or cherries somewhere on her holidays. Actually, this bill is more, and Andrew Little just now sat down. I wonder if he's actually read the bill and just quoted some bits out of his notes, which didn't really make a lot of sense, I've got to say. So this bill is actually a very, very important bill for many families and vulnerable people in New Zealand. For me, this is about allowing agencies, NGOs, government departments be able to share more information with each other. Of course they can currently, but the current legislation is unclear and there's a lot of misunderstanding around it. And this makes legislation, gives it more clarity. But it also allows agencies to have an earlier intervention than they have before, and that's really important. I just briefly want to share one story that I spoke to someone in the weekend, a child psychologist, and she was saying to me that she does a lot of home visits around New Zealand, especially in rural New Zealand where she does all her work. And I was saying to her, so do you know the other agencies that are meeting this family and these children? She goes, yes, I always ask the families, who's been to see you and what services are you getting, so we can have a collaborative approach. And I said to her, so what are the answers? And she said, well, I see them and I say, and some of them know who's been up their driveway and who hasn't, and others go, well, we had a nurse, but we don't know where she came from, and we don't know really what she's doing. And I think if we want to have a good wraparound service for our families and our vulnerable families, you've got to allow that information to be shared with those professionals. And this legislation does have safeguards in it to protect those families and the information sharing. And the Select Committee made a big recommendation, actually, a new section, which was taken up by the Minister and the Government. So, Mr Speaker, it is my pleasure to commend this bill to the House, and I look forward to debating it further in the future.
Good speaker.
I understand the next call is a split call. The Honourable Ruth Dyson.
You understand correctly.